In this video, we're talking pull day. And pulling is one of the 8 foundational movements. It's number 6 in my series. And when we think of pulling exercises, we're talking about pulling a weight to the body. So I'm pulling here, or the deadlift is a lower body pull. Pull, pull. Now, there's a whole bunch of different pulling movements you can do. You can do a row, which is more of a horizontal pull. You can do a pull up, or if you're pulling the weight down to you, you can do a lat pull down. So there's a whole bunch of different variations. As I said a second ago, if we do the more functional whole body version, that's going to be some sort of deadlift or hip hinge type action combined with an upper body pull. Now, as you can tell too, the pulling muscles are closely associated with grip strength. Whereas earlier in the prior video we talked about pushing. Well, you can push with your hands pretty well open, but when you pull, you've got to have a strong grip strength. So the pulling muscles are grip, forearm, bicep, and then traps, lats, rhomboids, all of those that help bring the weight or the movement towards your body. So in this video, we're going to review some of the functional significance of pulling, how to do a pull exercise correctly through various forms, the different variations of a pull, and then we're going to finish off with how to train, or how can we break down that exercise to make sure that pulling feels right for you and that you're engaging all the right muscles. So when we talk about pulling, as I mentioned a second ago, that's going to be our pull-ups, our bicep curls, all of those things that are associated with carrying. So from a starting position, when I'm teaching somebody how to do a grip strength carry, that cue is going to be, let me do it in a kneeling position. I got the kettlebell in hand. Naturally, the weight's going to want to pull down and forward that way. So the muscles that I need to engage are going to be back and in. So I'm creating a slight external rotation torque in the shoulder. I'm locking that shoulder blade into position, and that's a strong grip carry. So what you can see from that, and this translates into all pulling exercises, is that a neutral spine, so a position where the core is drawn in and up with the chest upright, and chest upright is here, not there. I'm not overarching my back, core in, chest up. That position naturally brings the shoulder blades back into position. If someone overdoes it, then they're using too much thoracic paraspinal and they can't engage the shoulder blades. If someone can't do it enough, it's going to pull forward through here, the upper back will round, and then that upper trap scaling into the bicep tendon is going to feel a lot more of it. So the proper form for pulling is core in, shoulders back with chest up, scaps engaged. I'm not shrugging, and I'm not pulling down either. I'm just bringing the scaps back into engagement. As we talked about in the different video, the action of turning the shoulders back into position is another very important starting position for the pull. Now, some people are going to ask, well, do you want the scaps to be retracted back? Well, not at the resting position of the pull, because if I'm doing a row, I need to be able to reach, and then I need to be able to bring it back, one into the other. So I just want that starting position. Let's go back into my bent over row. I want to engage here, so I'm not all the way back into it. I just want to bring the shoulder blade into the socket, shoulder into the socket, and then I pull from there and back down. Now what you can also see is that as I bring it into position, that shoulder needs to go back into extension. If I can't hold extension, it's going to tip forward from here, creating more tension across this line. That is often a cause of neck and shoulder pain in people. So for proper form on the pull, as you're retracting back, the chest needs to stay tall, or else it's going to round like this, and that's going to create more strain through there. So the pull needs to come from here, not here. And that's an important distinction, or else you're going to end up using the wrong muscles. It's going to strain other things, and then you won't get the full benefits out of your pulling movements. So what are different variations of the pull? Well, we talked about a lat pull down, where on the lat pull down and with a pull up, these are both similar movements. It's just, are you bringing your weight to the body? your weight towards the bar, or are you bringing the bar down towards you? But with both of those, we need to be able to engage the traps first and then use the lats to anchor and pull that movement. Showing that from the backside again, scaps first, lats draw down. Scaps first, lats draw down. By engaging the trapezius that way, it locks the shoulder blades into a fixed position, so then the bigger multi-joint lat muscle can help with the pulling action of that. Another movement, so that's going to be a vertical pull there for pull-ups and lat pull-down. The horizontal pull is going to be your row. If it starts further away, you can let the scaps protract, engage the weight, lock into neutral, and then you can row back that way. Again, staying big and open to the front side of the chest. As you can see with those movements, with the row, I'm bringing the elbow into flexion. So another pulling movement is just a bicep curl, where you're going here and then slowly lowering the weight down. Another major compensation on bicep curls, on these pulling type of movements, is we can get to here okay, but as someone lowers the weight down, they're not strong enough through here, and they're not strong enough in their serratus and other muscles that posterior tilt the scapula. So as they lower down, it starts going like this, or they kind of roll into the movement. And that's a common compensation that just shows that their pulling muscles, the bicep muscles, aren't strong enough to resist the weight, or they're not strong enough on the connection back to the core movement. So on all these variations, think core in, tall chest, shoulders engaged, and then you're rowing and doing the movement from there. So as I've showed you several times, that rowing motion or the pulling back movement is extension of the shoulder. So when we talk about training and breakdown of this exercise, I want to be assessing how well someone can extend back through their arms. Because if they can't extend, they're going to get extension through an anterior tilt and shortening of the pec and the bicep, and that throws off the anterior to posterior relationship of the shoulder. One way that I'll work on extension of the shoulder joint is I'll put my hand in a door frame, I'll step forward, and then I'll squat down. Boom, and back. So I'm maintaining that pec stretch through here and working on opening up through the front of the shoulder so that the glenohumeral joint can get back into extension. That's very important, or else the shoulder blade's going to try to cheat for it. So that's sort of the mobility approach to getting shoulder extension. Now, if I want to pair that shoulder extension with a strong scapular position, then we go down into a reverse tabletop. L-shape the hands. Bring that L shape right up against your butt. So here, straight down, feet together about 90 degrees. Pull the shoulder blades back, core in, and then raise back up. So as you can see, I'm getting shoulder extension of the glenohumeral joint. The scaps are staying strong, so I'm not letting them tilt forward. Engaging there, and back down. Up again, and back down. That takes the standing extension exercise and then adds some closed chain load to it, which is very beneficial. So we talked about shoulder extension, scapular, maintaining that posterior tilt. We mentioned the requirements of the row of going back and forth. One way that I'll work on that is it almost looks like a cat-cow movement of the thoracic spine. I'll have people go into all fours, push forward, so it's almost like I'm rounding my back, but it's coming from the shoulder blades. And then I'll drop those down together. On the way down, I think about pinching the shoulder blades together. On the way up, they're widening and rounding across. Bringing them back and out. Bringing them out and back. Out and back. So we're working on isolating these components that are necessary for the proper pulling action. Lastly, we always want to make sure that they have proper thoracic mobility. So we just did that movement for protraction, retraction. I would also do some sort of thoracic rotation or thoracic extension and flexion movement. And that can either be with a cat, cow, or threading the needle. those movements get proper mobility in the thoracic spine to then give proper foundation for pulling type motions. So as I mentioned in this video, a lot of what we do, from carrying type things, from if you need to open something up, pull it towards you, any action where you're pulling the weight towards your body is a pulling type of movement. And in this video we talked about the functional significance, your form, different variations, how to break down that movement. And in the strength training or powerlifting world, they'll often say, hit your back, hit the pulling muscles on a 2-to-1 ratio of your pushing. That means you should be strengthening your back twice as much as your pushing muscle, as your chest and your delt and kind of pushing and pressing muscles. So the back is super important. That's what all these pulling muscles are working. So go out, do some lat pull downs, try some bent over rows, make sure that you're holding proper form as you're doing it, and then that'll give you a good indication of how strong you are with that pull. Other great ways to work on it are with a farmer carry, and then just dead holds there where you can really engage to the posterior chain. So go out and practice some pulls.